My partner is blind, so I'd walk around the house in light clothes. Sometimes without them at all. He'd just sit there on the couch, calm and composed, but I started noticing something strange. His ears would always turn red. Sometimes, they'd even bleed for no reason. Until one day, I heard his inner thoughts. Should I tell her my eyes are fine? But her waist looks so soft, I wonder how it'd feel to wrap my arms around it. She has such long legs. I'm curious how they'd feel resting on my shoulders. Stop! I shouted. My heart pounded as I rushed forward and clamped my hand over his mouth. I'd just come back from a nightclub, exhausted, body and mind. My father was sitting on the couch too, arms crossed grinning. I've got good news for you, he said casually. What is it? I asked, still shaken by what I'd just heard. The company went bankrupt, he said calmly. Dad, are you crazy? What are you talking about? I asked, stunned. He just brushed it off with a smile. Don't worry, there's a silver lining. Silver lining. A chill crept up my spine. I have a bad feeling about this. He continued, Vincent's family is ready to marry you. I gasped. They only had one son, Vincent, who'd been blinded in a car accident. I couldn't believe it. I have to marry a blind man. No way, I haven't even had enough fun yet. I yelled in protest. So you are selling your daughter? I shot back, feeling as if I were up against a massive immovable force. My thoughts raced. If I visit the Wynn family, I might end up with broken legs. How do I marry a blind man? 3 days later, I was tied and thrown into a wedding car. At the wedding ceremony, the host asked Mr. Vincent if he wanted to marry Miss Jenny. The man in front of me, with his deep cold eyes, resembled a movie star in his sophisticated black suit. I do, he spoke in an icy tone. This jerk is blind. I assume that being handsome or unattractive would not pay the bills. The host turned to me and asked, Miss Jenny, do you want to marry Mr. Vincent as your husband? I do not want to. I do not want to. I shouted, but the bodyguards behind me quickly covered my mouth. The host maintained a polite smile. Okay, it looks like you two are a match made in heaven. Later that night, still tied up and thrown on the marriage bed, I cursed my father until I was out of breath and drowsy. I started to fall asleep, but then I heard someone enter the room. The sound of polished dress shoes on the wooden floor tapped against my eardrums. I woke up screaming, Help, forced marriage, help Jenny, the man said, brushing his cuffs methodically. His voice was as cold as rain on a winter night, sending shivers down my spine. What are you planning to do? I asked, staring at him as he approached. Isn't he supposed to be blind? I was wondering how he walked so steadily without a cane. Vincent, please let me leave. I begged to keep a close eye on him. I can introduce you to someone else. My best friend. She's lovely and gentle, please. I will beg you, I cried, my voice trembling from desperation. His face was just 10 centimeters away from mine, and he exuded coldness. His pitch black eyes saw nothing. They were full of coercion and danger, but we'd already had our wedding, he said as he straightened up, reaching out to touch my head, and I immediately backed away. It's fine, you can let me go, but your father's company requires funding. He added nonchalantly. I was stunned. My heart is racing. After going bankrupt, I'd have to return, and our family's home and cars were most likely sold. I owed debts that would take me a lifetime to repay. Shivers ran down my spine, and my expression changed instantly. Oh, I was only kidding. I am actually very willing to marry you because you are so wealthy. I sneered inwardly. Simply get married. I thought to myself, I'm just freeloading off my husband. I can leave once my father's company recovers, correct? I quickly rationalized the situation and resolved not to struggle. I smiled at Vincent. Okay then, honey. Vincent stiffened for a moment. Don't call me that, he said with a cold voice. Too bad, honey. I was teasing, but then something came to mind. Because this is a marriage, we must establish some rules. I said this with a more serious tone. You cannot touch me. I sleep on the bed. You sleep on the sofa. There is a guest room at home. After all, Vincent reluctantly rubbed his forehead. Fine. You sleep in the guest room, he replied. The next morning, I awoke to find Vincent had already left for work. How could he work if he was unable to see? I wondered. Just as I was thinking about it, I felt extremely hot. I looked at the air conditioner. The temperature measured 39 degrees Celsius. I looked everywhere for the remote. Where is the remote? I muttered, frustrated. Hey Siri, turn on the air conditioning. No response. I lost my mind with frustration and stripped naked, lying down on the sofa in a fit of rage. I fell asleep like that. Suddenly, the front door opened. I heard familiar footsteps approaching. I awoke abruptly. Wait, don't turn on the lights. I am not dressed. I yelled, realizing I was only wearing my underwear. But it was too late. The light turned on. Vincent stood in the doorway. His gaze is unfocused. I'd forgotten. He cannot see. I felt relieved and continued to lie down on the sofa. You're back. I replied nonchalantly. Come on, make some meals, I am starving. You haven't eaten anything all day. Vincent seemed uncomfortable for some reason, avoiding my gaze. How can he be shy when he cannot see? I wondered. I am feeling mischievous. I chose to tease him. I approached him barefoot and nearly pressed my body against his honey. Am I attractive? I asked, taking his hand and placing it around my waist. Vincent's pupils contracted and his face turned red. You're attractive. He mumbled quickly and turned his head away. You cannot see. Anyway, it's boring, I said with a smirk, turning away. As I walked away, I could hear Vincent's puzzled voice behind me. I can't see who told you. I cannot see. He stopped for a moment. Then I added, yes, I lost my sight in the accident. Then get it treated right away, I said as I walked up the stairs, ready to take a shower. After the shower, I considered wearing a bathrobe, but then I remembered there were no cameras in the house, and I only had a blind husband, so I decided not to sleep naked. Was simply too comfortable. I rushed down the stairs and saw Vincent sitting on the sofa, enjoying the air conditioning. I cannot turn it on. It is too hot, I complained. There were no responses. I looked down in confusion and saw Vincent sitting silently. His ears were red and he didn't look at me. Cannot you hear me? I asked, reaching out to grab him by his collar. To my surprise, fresh blood began flowing from his nose. Should I tell my wife this? My eyes are actually fine. I heard the voice again. This time is clearer. Wait, who's talking? Vincent. What has he just said? His mouth hadn't moved yet, but his thoughts continued. However, my wife's waist appears to be particularly soft. I wonder what it's like to hug her. Could you hear Vincent's thoughts? My eyes widened as I focused on him. My wife has long legs. I am curious how they would feel resting on my shoulders. He continued in his mind. Stop, I shouted. He steps forward and covers his mouth. His eyes lifted slightly, and he looked at me calmly. He still didn't say anything. That's correct. I know, I mumbled. Still processing. But how could I hear his thoughts? I gave him a suspicious look. Also, what are you thinking about? I demanded, and Vincent's inner voice echoed again. My wife looks adorable. Her eyes widen, and I want to kiss her. I turned around abruptly, catching him. Sneak a peek at my lips. What was this? It was simply an arranged marriage. How could a stranger look at me like that? I seemed to have forgotten something important. Did he just say that his blindness was cured? I wondered. I raised my hand and waved it in front of Vincent's face. He did not flinch, but his eyes were slightly unfocused. Good thing I'm smart, his inner voice whispered. Otherwise, if my wife found out, I wouldn't be able to see her sexy figure anymore. I hurriedly packed a few items and tossed them into my luggage, ready to leave. But as I approached the door, I was stopped by Vincent's arms wrapping around me in a hug. Are you okay? He inquired gently in a caring tone, almost convincingly. If I hadn't heard his inner thoughts, I would have assumed his concern was genuine. His hands touched my waist, and I took a step back in fear. The man moved closer. Jenny, where are you going? He asked. Where are you going? You walked as straight as a zebra crossing. He teased as I watched him grope his way toward me, my back against the table's corner. I yelled. Get away. The scene in front of me made me feel like prey, trapped in a corner while the hunter meticulously sharpened his knife. Stepping closer, my heart raced as if it were on the verge of a cliff, and I swallowed hard. My best friend just had a breakup. I stammered. I need to go to her home and console her. Vincent tilted his head slightly, as if pondering, but I recall your best friend is on vacation in Florence for the next few days. He replied, his voice filled with suspicion. I shrank back. My eyes darted around. Oh, her grandfather has graduated. No, it's her father who is pregnant. I need to help out. Jenny, Vincent spoke softly, already standing in front of me. His tall figure loomed over me. Why? Lie to me. I didn't dare to meet his gaze. I was afraid he'd throw me onto the bed. How could I lie to my husband? I mumbled, patting his shoulder, which was much too close for comfort. There is something I need to do. I'll be out for a few days. Fine. Vincent agreed and sighed. I widened my eyes in disbelief and dragged my suitcase to the door, desperate to get out. Dad opened the door. I yelled but received no response. What a joke. My father changed the passcode for the main gate. I realized I couldn't even go back to my own house. My friend's phone wouldn't connect either. Not to mention my aunties and uncles. They had all abandoned us when they learned about the company's bankruptcy. I was totally alone. There was no hope remaining. I dragged my suitcase and sat on the curb, unconcerned about my appearance. After a while, I realized I had forgotten. My phone appears to indicate that I intended to be a wanderer. This time, I can't return to Vincent's house. That's a wolf den. He will eventually devour me alive. I must maintain my virginity for my future boyfriends, I thought sarcastically. While I was sitting there, a small dog wagged its tail. tail happily carrying a plastic bag containing bread, passes right by me. Perhaps it is a donation from a kind soul. I thought I had shouted aloud. Stop. The small dog turned its head and blinked. Its watery eyes looked at me, as if to ask what was wrong. I suddenly felt guilty. 10 seconds later, I was eating half of the bread and the dog was eating the other half in my arms. I can't believe I'm competing with a dog for food. I thought bitterly, Vincent, that it was all because of you. My father does not want me anymore, I cried. Tears well up in my eyes. The dog licked my face, as if to comfort me. Get lost, go away. I pushed the dog away. But the scruffy little creature wriggled back into my arms, determined to remain close to me. Here I am, a fallen rich girl, wandering the streets. I couldn't find work and thought I'd rather be arrested and imprisoned. At least there would be food. After starving for what seemed like an eternity, I finally gave in. I got a job as a waitress at a bar, and the little dog followed me around, wagging its tail happily. Have you heard, Vincent's? A new-laid wife ran away. A voice in the bar whispered, I understand, I understand. Vincent's face was as dark as the bottom of a shoe when he heard someone else respond. Vincent is incredibly talented. Why would she run away? One customer inquired. Curious, I couldn't take it, I suppose. Poor, young girl. Someone chimed in. Who knows, said another. But judging by Vincent's expression, I bet if they catch her, she'll be tied up at home. I shivered all over when I overheard their conversation. Just then, a familiar figure entered the bar, holding a phone and asking if anyone had seen this girl. It's Vincent's people. I immediately stopped serving drinks and attempted to flee, but the person in the booth behind me insisted. Where are the drinks? Waiter, you the skinny one who resembles a praying mantis. My arm was grabbed as I attempted to leave. Where are the drinks? Why do you seem so familiar? I was desperate to get away and panicked. I kicked out with my foot and turned to run. Jenny, I recognize her. Someone yelled. Catch her quickly. Vincent will reward us handsomely. Vincent, you scoundrel. I muttered to myself as I dashed towards the narrow stairwell. I shouted as I ran. It is all because of you. I feel like a wanted criminal right now. The ill-fitting work uniform hampered my steps, so in desperation, I ripped off the tight skirt in a single motion and continued running down the stairs. But the moment I turned a corner, a hand reached out and firmly covered my mouth. Someone had caught you, and a low hoarse voice resounded in the dark, empty stairwell. The sound was chilling. I found myself tightly embraced by a tall, warm body, as if I were embedded deep within the person's arms. Hi Vincent. I tried to shout but my chin was held up. Be good, it will hurt if you struggle, he warned. He kissed me fiercely, biting my lip. As he did so, he kissed me into submission, leaving me breathless. My hands, which had been resisting, gradually became limp, creating the appearance of compliance. Time seemed to stand still in the stairwell, with only the sound of our rapid heartbeats, ambiguous sucking sounds, and clothing rustling filling the air. This was punishment. Vincent finally came to a halt, and he breathed deeply as our noses came close together. As I raised my head, tears filled my eyes. It's entirely your fault. My father does not want me anymore, I sobbed. Vincent lifted his hand to wipe the corner of my mouth. So blame me all you want. It is all right. I have you now after hearing that I have snapped out of my funk. Why were you kissing me? I demanded to break free and move backward. Your eyes were never seriously injured, were they? You lied to me, I exclaimed in disbelief. Oh, you found out, Vincent said, looking at me unconcerned. You're a pervert, I yelled. My underwear was exposed to you. So, what? Vincent stood up. His tall figure loomed over me. We are married after all, but I do not like you. I protested. It does not matter. You will eventually grow to like me. Vincent responded confidently. He approached me, squatted down, and gently held my chin, his dark eyes like deep lakes. He loosened his tie around his chest and wound it around my wrists. Then, without saying anything, he picked me up. We're heading home, he declared firmly. Wait, can I sit beside the driver? I asked, trying to be polite as my last attempt to put some distance between us, even though I was still held in the car. Vincent's embrace and scent enveloped me completely, and it was overwhelming. No, you cannot, Vincent said, lowering his head and brushing his fingers through my hair. His lips started to descend, as if to kiss me again. I immediately turned my head away. I sell my skills, not my body. Give up, I told him firmly, attempting to assert myself. Too bad, Vincent responded. His tone was melancholy, and while he did not try to kiss me again, I tried to listen for any signs of his thoughts. Why can't I hear his heartbeat anymore? I wondered what this man was thinking. I was lost in thought. We arrived back at the house. Vincent still carried me in princess style into the house. Don't run around like that in the future. Vincent spoke in a stern voice. He paused. Then add your father. Please do not mention him to me. I yelled, growing angrier. The more I thought about it, I wondered if I was even his real daughter anymore. He has been unbearable ever since my mother died. He even sold me to you. The more I considered it, the more wronged I felt. I sobbed in frustration, and now I'm still competing with a dog for food. Vincent remained silent for a moment, as if he had something to say but decided against it. Instead, he simply pulled me into a hug. It's okay, he whispered. You can now try to rely on me. Rely on yourself. I might as well rely on my small dog. I thought bitterly. At least the dog isn't as twisted as you. I added silently. This situation seemed unavoidable. I had been working as a waitress in a bar and wandering the streets, but I figured I might as well stay at Vincent's house. At the very least, there would be food and beverages. I made up my mind. If he wants to hug me, let him do so. If he wants to kiss me, then let him. Being held by him was surprisingly pleasant. I eventually fell asleep. I must admit that he was quite good at kissing. As we kissed, he sat in a chair and casually pulled me into his lap. I wrapped my arms around his neck and soon fell asleep. However, in the middle of the night, I awoke feeling hot. I noticed that the air conditioning in the master bedroom was broken. I will just sleep on the floor. It will be cooler. I thought to myself that after 10 seconds of lying on the floor, my back hurt and I couldn't take it any longer. I pushed open the door to the guest bedroom, where I was greeted by a cool breeze. Ah, it's comfortable, I whispered. Jenny Vincent's voice rang out from the bed as he struggled to turn on the bedside lamp. What is wrong? Today, I checked feng shui on my phone, and it said the master bedroom has bad feng shui. Let's switch rooms. You head to the master bedroom. I quickly pushed Vincent out of the room and locked the door behind me. Air conditioning. Here I come. I whispered in relief, but before I could celebrate for 2 seconds, the locked door shook. I heard a key being inserted and turned before I could respond. The door swung open, and Vincent approached the bed. Bed, he called Jenny. I buried my head under the blanket, pretending to be half asleep. I am tired. Stop fooling around. Get back to sleep, I muttered. The next moment, the bed sank slowly, and I was embraced as the blanket rolled over. Vincent whispered. I struggled hard. How could I sleep with a man? I thought, this is my bottom line. But as I struggled, I came to a realization. Wait a minute. This is actually very comfortable. I lifted my legs and placed them on Vincent's waist, snuggling into his embrace like a doll. It felt extremely secure. I hadn't felt uncomfortable since I was 5 years old, when my mother left. Okay, let's just hug for one night. I mumbled and fell asleep, completely unaware of Vincent's smug smile in the darkness. I slept until 7 o'clock, and when I awoke, Vincent had already left. I got out of bed and went outside to walk the dog, play with the cat, and even join an elderly man who was practicing Tai Chi girl. Do not learn this from me. I am afraid you will hurt yourself, he said, chuckling. That I was stretching stiffly and accidentally kicking over a railing. As I propped it back up, I noticed a familiar figure across the street, tall and slender. Dressed in a black windbreaker, he was smiling warmly and charmingly as he spoke with an elderly lady by the roadside. But when he turned and saw me, his smile vanished. My heart raced. My feet moved on their own. I called out to Alan as I started following him. The man reluctantly came to a halt and looked at me coldly. What is it? He asked sharply. I clutched my clothes tight and nervously inquired. How have you been recently? Thank you, not bad. Alan replied, furrowing his brow and taking a step backward. We have not seen each other in a long time. Can we share a meal together? I worked up the courage to ask. Alan was the person I had a crush on for 4 years. Unfortunately, he had always preferred someone else. After the college entrance exam, he asked me to deliver a love letter to the girl. The next day, I attempted to explain, but the girl had already gone abroad. Alan had overheard that I had a crush on him, so he destroyed the love letter. Wendy would have stayed had it not been for you, Alan once told me while biting my nails. I began apologizing again. I'm sorry, but I didn't shed enough tears over that love letter. Alan interrupted abruptly. We should not see each other again in the future. I stood there, stunned. I was so stupid that all I could say was, I'm sorry. But my words did nothing to establish my innocence. Do you still hold a grudge against me? I asked quietly, panic rising within me. Alan did not respond to my dinner invitation. He simply walked away from that love letter. I started, but Alan cut me off. His voice was cold. Do not bother. He turned away again and in desperation I reached out to grab his hand. Alan, wait. Let go, he said, firmly shaking off my hand as if it repulsed him. I fell to the ground, and the man paused for a brief moment, looking back at me coldly, before walking away without saying anything. I sat there for a while, tears stinging my eyes as a figure appears in front of me. Are you hurt? Vincent asked. His frosty brow furrowed in concern as he squatted down and lifted me up, carrying me home. It wasn't until I was lying in bed that I realized what had happened. "Vincent, why are you not at work?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Vincent lowered his head and gently blew on my wound. "I'd forgotten my documents," he responded. Then he lifted my foot onto his knee, his left hand holding it in place while his right hand applied iodine to disinfect the scrape. "If it hurts, you can scream." He spoke softly. "Why didn't you ask your secretary to return and get them?" I asked, but Vincent did not respond. He was completely focused on cleaning my wound. His movements are impossibly gentle. I stared at him. My heart is suddenly bitter. "I did not destroy the love letter. Vincent," I whispered. "Do you believe me?" He paused for a moment. "I believe you." He finally revealed that Vincent and I were high school classmates for a year. During that time, I pursued Alan aggressively. I once fell into the water and was saved by someone, but they left before I could thank them. When I awoke, I looked everywhere to figure out who had saved me. An elderly lady told me that it appeared to be Alan. Alan's gentle and clean smile drew me in from the beginning. Every morning, I would bring him breakfast while secretly giving him drinks with his name on them. My heart would flutter with excitement every time I did so. But when his brother teased me, I would look at Jenny. "What an ugly name." His brother would mock, but Alan had always seemed to regard me as a friend, and things changed dramatically. Following the love letter incident, we couldn't even stay friends. After that, I lowered my head, disappointed, and wiped away tears that were not there. Vincent sighed softly and pulled me into a hug, whispering, "Jennifer, what should I do with you?" Suddenly, my phone rang, and my best friend's frantic voice came through. "Jenny, do you know your father is in the hospital?" My phone slipped from my grasp and hit the ground with a thud. My mind became blank. Vincent eventually told me the truth. My father had late-stage stomach cancer and didn't have much time left, leaving only a spoiled daughter like myself. My father had entrusted me to Vincent, the person he trusted most. The company had not gone bankrupt, and it was now temporarily managed by Vincent, almost like my Dory. When Vincent told me everything, I remained silent, too shocked to respond. It wasn't until I entered the hospital room and saw my father's surprised and helpless expression that reality set in. I walked up with a forced smile. "Dad is not eating properly. I got you. Didn't it happen here?" That night, I found myself unable to sleep. I lay awake, staring into the dark. Vincent was by my side, holding me close and kissing away. "My tears do not cry. I am here for you." He whispered something comforting to me. He encouraged me to cry, saying my father deserved it. My father? The man who never found the right class to attend parent-teacher conferences, who once showed up in the wrong grade when I was in 11th grade, and who, when he did find the correct grade, went to the wrong school entirely. If my mother were still alive, she would have chastised him for it. On the day of my college entrance exam, he kept urging me to finish quickly, complaining about the high parking fees. He told me not to worry if I passed or not. He would turn over the company to me. Vincent hugged me tighter. "Jenny," he whispered gently. Every time I awoke from a nightmare, Vincent was there, saying, "Jenny, I am here." He'd pour me a cup of hot water, watch me drink it, and then gently wipe the water droplets off my lips. "Go to sleep," he'd whisper, pulling me back into his embrace in the darkness. I watched Vincent sleep soundly, his brow furrowed and his face tired. The constant running between the company and the hospital made me wonder if my presence in his life was right or wrong. My father once asked me, "How are you and Vincent getting along?" My father was leaning against the head of the bed, eating an apple. I had been looking for him. He seemed intrigued. "It is all right, I suppose," I replied. "You too better. Please hurry up and give me a grandchild," my father said, grinning as he handed me the peeled oranges. "How is this even possible?" I exclaimed in disbelief. "I'm very attractive and have a wonderful personality, suitor. You have to circle the globe twice a year just to catch up with me." I stood up dramatically. "You have no idea, Dad. Vincent is extremely clingy. He's always afraid I'll be kidnapped. He is constantly hugging and kissing me. It's very annoying. He does not know when to stop." Just as I finished ranting, I noticed my father's amused expression, which indicated trouble. I turned around to see Vincent standing behind me with his arms crossed, calmly watching me clingy, "Always hugging and kissing you, unsure when to stop." Vincent echoed. I gave an awkward chuckle. "I'm just joking with my father." When we got home that night, Vincent held me down on the bed and kissed me. As I laughed in protest, "I was just joking." Vince let go. My father's health improved gradually. He said that if I really didn't like Vincent, he could find someone else for me. I hesitated before responding, "Let us discuss it later." One day while picking up medicine, I ran into Alan. "Are you okay? Are you sick?" I approached him quickly, hoping to grab his arm, but he backed away. "Jenny, I don't want to say this again. My problems are none of your concern. Stop coming to see me." Alan spoke coldly as he turned to leave. As Alan walked away, a hand suddenly drew me back. Jenny, stay here. Vincent commanded as he strode up to us and opened his phone. Vincent displayed a video in front of Alan. Vincent had requested that the class monitor find surveillance footage of Alan's close friends, secretly rummaging through my bag and tearing up the love letter, which had caused all of the misunderstandings. Vincent reached out and wrapped his arm around me. Jenny and I are already married. He spoke firmly. Jenny came to clarify the misunderstanding. If you don't believe it, you're simply a fool who is easily duped by others. Alan's entire body trembled. I believe you. He finally admitted the truth which had been delayed for nearly 10 years. It dawned on him. Jenny, Alan stammered, apologizing. I apologize. His late apology felt exhausting. Let us still be friends. Okay, Alan asked, his voice full of regret. He tried to contact me but Vincent pushed him away, saying, I told you we're already married. Vincent added, she's my wife now, with a bow head. Let's go. I stared at Vincent in disbelief, my heart racing uncontrollably. When we returned home, the realization struck me, and I turned to thank Vincent. Thank you, I said quietly. No need. Vincent responded, giving me an unexpected glance. He drew me close, lowering his head to kiss me as a show of appreciation. He whispered. I felt a sharp sting in my chest and quickly pushed him away. I'll return to my room, I muttered, retreating. Oh no, I think I have fallen for Vincent. Later that night, I thought to myself and excitedly texted my best friend to share my thoughts. He can be very attractive and authoritative at times. But while I was texting, I noticed a message in a group chat with my name mentioned. My heart skipped a beat when I clicked on it. Wasn't Jenny the one who had fallen into the water before? Yes, she claimed Alan had saved her, but the conversation continued, and my heart sank. My grandmother was mistaken. She saw Vincent at the hospital today, and mentioned that he saved a girl who had fallen into the water. Suddenly, everything became clear. A profound sense of absurdity and collapse overcame me. I had liked Alan for 4 years, believing he was the one who saved me, but it had all been a misunderstanding. Vincent had always been aware of how intertwined our fates were. A wave of clarity washed over me from the start, revealing that everything had gone wrong. I'd pursued the wrong person. In reality, it was Vincent who had been present all along. Could I really start to like Vincent absently holding a stuffed toy? I watched Vincent walk out of the bathroom, shirtless. After taking a shower, I stole glances at him, feeling awkward. If you want to look, simply look openly. Vincent teased as he casually dried himself with a towel. He threw it in the laundry basket, adding, why peek? When I was right here, I turned away without saying anything. Vincent climbed into bed and got closer to me. Are you mad? He asked softly. No, I replied, suddenly restless. Why are you always so nice to me? I asked, my voice barely audible. You are my wife. Vincent replied by hugging me from behind. After a long silence, I turned around and kissed Vincent on the cheek. I tried to pull away, but the sound of his heavy breathing stopped me, and he drew me into a deeper kiss. Why are you so forthright today? He asked quietly, without saying anything. I turned around, straddling him. Do not speak, instead, kiss me. I whispered. Vincent was taken aback. Jenny. He spoke softly. The air between us seemed thick and heavy. Later, as I lay in the tub, I exclaimed, Vincent, what did you eat to grow so big? He rubbed my head gently and spoke softly. You. I chuckled. Dad, do you think if I tell Vincent this, he will want to kill me? My father laughed. Oh, petty. Bring some fruit to your old man and tell him what is on your mind. I hesitated for a moment. Father. Actually, I was planning to arrange a marriage for you back then. I began halfway through, but Vincent intervened. He claimed to have secretly admired you for a long time. I was taken aback. What? My father shrugged and told me he had a crush on you since high school. He referred to you as his little son, someone who brought positivity into his life. He sounded somewhat formal, but I could tell he was sincere. He's even promised to love you forever. My father continued, and because I knew his father, I arranged for you two to be together. My father casually ate a banana, as if he hadn't just dropped a bomb on me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I trailed off, unsure what to say. My heart felt like a soft sour fruit, with thick juice dripping down inside me. He had been secretly in love with me since high school. It all began when Vincent transferred to my school. I had been pursuing Alan at the time. How much more must Vincent's heart have ached if he had known all along? I rushed back home, waiting for Vincent to return. When he walked through the door, I hugged him tightly. What is wrong? Vincent asked, confused. I didn't say anything for a long time, simply holding on to him. I finally spoke. I apologize for running away before and keeping you looking for me for so long. Vincent smiled as he patted my head. It is not your fault, and I apologize for believing that Alan was the person who saved me back then. I added a stop. Jenny, Vincent spoke, lowering his head and kissing me. Look, we're together now. That's enough. I don't think those years and misunderstandings matter anymore. He continued softly. It's fine, as long as you know I love you. Just then, Alan arrived at the hospital, chasing me down to apologize and seek forgiveness. I apologized, Jenny. Everything was a misunderstanding on my part. Can we still be friends? Alan inquired, standing in front of me with a bouquet of flowers, dressed similarly to how he had been back then in a simple white shirt and smiling brightly, but now I felt nauseous. It is too late, Alan. I'm already married, so no, I replied firmly back then. You chose to cover your ears and not listen to explanations. Now that the truth has been revealed, what is the point of uncovering your ears again? I asked him, Jenny, and Alan moved closer, reaching out to hug me. I'm truly sorry. I backed away, dazed. I'm sorry, but something I had longed to hear for so long had suddenly become meaningless. If there were any misunderstandings, I didn't care. I am married to Vincent. Do not look for me again. I spoke in my own voice. Unwavering, Jenny, your marriage to him is simply an alliance. You cannot possibly like him. You have liked me for many years, right? Alan inquired, still attempting to plead his case. I've changed my mind now. I replied that if you agree, I will divorce Vincent immediately and marry you. Who said I didn't like Vincent? I snapped back, he's wealthy and kind. Sorry, you should leave now. As I turned around, I noticed Vincent leaning against a car door nearby. I wasn't sure how long he'd been listening. When our eyes met, I quickly averted my gaze. What did you just say, rich and kind? Vincent asked with a smirk. What was that? My face turned red with embarrassment. Nothing. You misheard. I stammered. Let us talk about it. At home, my father's condition had stabilized. In the second month, I brought him a report on a man approaching 60. I witnessed him shed tears for the first time. He had not cried when he learned he had cancer or during chemotherapy, but seeing me pregnant brought tears to his eyes. I want to choose a name for him. Let us call him Winnie. My father replied, smiling through his tears. I remembered that Jenny must have been a name he chose for me. It sounded like a name that boosted your strength. Even in the winter, Vincent held me and said, Jenny, let us name him Honey. In high school, after Vincent finished playing basketball, he wiped the sweat off his shirt and noticed me smiling as I handed Alan a bottle of water. Vincent had suddenly become thirsty, but he had refused all of the water offered to him. It would be fine if I wasn't given any water. He had thought that right before the sports day's 1,000-meter race. I had handed Vincent his number tag and waved, encouraging him to do his best. If you are too tired, don't push yourself. Take a break. I had mentioned that Vincent had smiled at me. Everyone had told him to fight for first place and bring glory to the class, but someone had unexpectedly shown concern for his well-being. All right, Vincent had said to himself as he stepped onto the track, looking into the distance, the sunlight just right. Vincent had been lost in his own thoughts as he ran that race, unaware of how much my small acts of kindness had influenced him. He remembered all the times I encouraged him, and in those moments, I had unknowingly become someone important in his life. My pregnancy progressed over the months, and Vincent's care for me grew deeper. He was always attentive, ensuring that I was comfortable and had everything I needed. My father's condition had improved, and I paid him frequent visits. My father once told me, you know, Jenny, I think Vincent is a good man. He genuinely cares about you. I nodded, feeling warm in my heart. I know, Dad. I responded softly. Vincent and I had come a long way from the start of our arranged marriage. The awkwardness between us slowly melted away, replaced by an unspoken understanding, a quiet respect that grew deeper each day. Our journey had been messy, complicated, anything but ordinary. Yet through every storm, Vincent had been there, even when I was too blind to see it. One night, as we lay side by side, he pulled me close and pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead. Jenny, he murmured. His voice softer than I'd ever heard it. Are you still thinking of leaving me once your father's company is back on its feet? His question hung in the dark like a fragile promise. I hesitated, my heart caught somewhere between the past and this new warmth blooming between us. I'm not sure, I whispered. Vincent let out a quiet sigh, tightening his arms around me as if he could keep me from drifting away. I hope you stay. He breathed against my hair. Not for the company, but because somewhere along the way, I fell for you. His words silenced every doubt. I'd always seen Vincent as distant cold, a man of contracts and obligations. But now, in the hush of this moment, I saw the truth. He was human, he was vulnerable, he was mine. I think I've fallen for you too, I confessed, my voice barely a whisper against his chest. He smiled then, a real smile, the kind I'd waited so long to see, and kissed me, slow and soft, sealing the promise between us. As the months passed, The walls we'd built came down brick by brick. What began as a forced arrangement grew into something real. Something we chose, day after day. Vincent, once the stranger I'd feared, became the one constant in my ever-changing life. The man I couldn't imagine living without. If this story made your heart flutter even just a little, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who loves a good love story, and comment below, would you trust love born from something arranged? I'm waiting to read every single one.